Can any follow-up live up to how good the Lunar Chronicles were? I'm Imogen Elvis, and today I'm reviewing Renegades by Marissa Meyer. So this book has a bit of a checkered history for me. I actually got it over a year ago. It was a Christmas present, funnily enough. My family likes to buy me lots of books as Christmas presents, which I am not complaining about. But I didn't read it. And it sat on the shelf for a year, and then last Christmas, I got the sequel, Arch Enemies. I was like, oh, I haven't read Renegades yet. I should probably get on that. So I have read the Lunar Chronicles. I've read all of those, including the prequel book. I haven't read Heartless yet. I still have to get on that. So this is actually the first follow-up book of Marissa Meyer's that I read, and I was pleasantly surprised. I had heard that there was this whole debate about, was it as good as the Lunar Chronicles? And, you know, follow-up books. It's so hard to break from the series that you've known and loved and to come into something completely different. The expectations are astronomical. But this book, it's definitely very different, but it's also really enjoyable. So it's all superheroes and supervillains, and I love a good superhero-supervillain, not gonna lie. But it's, even though it uses, you know, most of the common tropes of the genre, it puts its own unique spin on things. The fight between superheroes and supervillains is not black and white. Even though the superheroes are objectively the good guys and the supervillains are objectively the bad guys, there's a lot of grey area in there. The supervillains as presented in the book are not pure evil. They're very human people with, you know, they want things. And they want things that you can relate to, and they come over as very sympathetic people. So even though you know they're doing bad things, they have reasons and they have, you know, motivations that makes them much more complex characters. And when it comes to the heroes, well, they're not all truth, justice, and insert country's way. In fact, you get some of them and they are downright unpleasant. And they are stretching the bounds of what a superhero should do just because they can get away with it. So the battle is not exactly, you know, black and white, one-sided. It's got a lot more depth to it, which I really enjoyed. And another thing that was different between this and other books that I've read inside the superhero genre is the fact that it's set in a world post-massive battle between the two sides. And society is just broken and wiped out. And it's about 10 years after that, I think. And the heroes are trying to rebuild society, but it's still at a point where the power grid is not working properly and they don't have a subway system and the world's a mess still. And the supervillains have been mostly defeated, but there's down but not completely out. Usually you see superheroes functioning in a world that's very similar to ours. And they're dealing with, you know, secret identities and the world finding out that they're superheroes and things like that. And that's what I mostly see in superhero books. So to see it try something so completely different was something I really enjoyed and I found quite unique about the book. And while we're on the topic of superheroes, of course, you can't go without mentioning the powers, because that was a favourite thing for me. Like, of course, you had the cliche, someone's got super strength, someone's got invulnerability, someone's got the power of flight. You've got to have all those ones because everybody loves those. But then you also get some really unique ones, like the person who can make weapons and crystals out of their blood, or someone who never sleeps, or someone who can bring things to life just by sketching them. These are powers, I've never seen anyone use them before, and Marissa Meyer has really gone beyond all the cliche powers that you see and, you know, all the comic books have got, all the new movies and everything, and just goes beyond that and reaches into sort of out-of-the-box thinking for superhero powers, which really, really gave this a nice twist. I really appreciated sort of the ingenuity of the powers and just seeing her try something else. And of course, you can't talk about this book without saying, how good is Nova? If you've read this book, come on, you gotta know. Nova is just amazing. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that she is one of the supervillains. She's part of the group known as the Anarchists, and she is one of the most complex, conflicted characters, and it's fantastic. So she's fighting against the objectively good guys. She's got an awesome motivation from her backstory, no spoilers. You'll have to read the book if you don't know. And she's flawed, she's conflicted, she's working for one side while pretending to be on the other side. She is fantastic, and she's likable, but, you know, she's definitely got her own character flaws, and I just found her such a compelling, likable, sympathetic character, while also being, you know, just amazing. And yeah, she's just the best character in the book, and it's got a fantastic supporting cast too, I might add. It's just, Marissa Meyer really knows how to write characters, and I really appreciate that. Until we come to Adrian. For a book written in dual point of view, he was the weak point for me. Not to say he can't be a really likable character, or that he hasn't got a really good part to play in the story. I found him really one-dimensional. He's like the white knight of the story. He goes out there, he's your stereotypical superhero, truth, justice, and insert country's way, and, you know, I'm going to save the people, I've got to do what's right. And he doesn't have the same depth to his character that Nova does. He doesn't have the same motivations and the same, you know, just the depth and 3Dness to his character that he needed. Yeah, his mum's dead, but that's not a motivation for him. And while I appreciate that avoided one of the cliches again, it meant that he didn't have a real driving force behind him. To me, he felt like he was there because you needed someone on that side. And while he provided lots of good things for the story, he just didn't work as well as Nova. And one of the things I would love to see in the sequel, as I start to read that, is I want to see his character arc change, because I felt there was so little change between Adrian at the beginning of the book and Adrian at the end of the book. He was just pretty much the same character, and that kind of bothered me. But overall, really solid book. It's so different from the Lunar Chronicles that I can see why people reading this for the first time are like, no, this is not a good book. Why does she write this? She should go back to doing what she's good. But honestly, if you haven't read Renegades yet, you need to give it a try, because it's an awesome superhero versus supervillain story. It's really well told, great dual perspective, awesome characters, lots of out-of-the-box, unique thinking behind it. And just in general, I think this is a book that definitely deserves to be read. And I would call this solid 4 stars. Really solid read, not quite perfect, but definitely worth a reread, and definitely going to go on and read the sequel. But that was my thoughts on Renegade. If you've read the book, what did you think? Have you read Arch Enemies yet? Did you think it was as good as the Lunar Chronicles, or not as good, better? And if you haven't read it yet, then are you going to pick it up after this? Are you interested in seeing what it's all about? If you'd like to see more book reviews from me, subscribe to the channel, because I have new reviews coming out all the time, and follow me on Goodreads, because I review most of these books there as well. And if you want to keep up with my other bookish thoughts, or anything to do with my writing, you can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and my website, and I'll leave links for all that stuff down in the description. And if you want to support me, consider buying my own book, which you can find on Amazon. It's fun, it's fantasy, and personally I think it's great. And I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. But until next week, I'll see you guys.